Well, you heard a lot from my panel. You heard some from an economist. Now I want Wall Street in the room. Let's talk about the impact on our economy when it comes to Wall Street, private equity. Whose responsibility is it to take care of all of these things that these progressives are insisting upon? So I have my good friend, Bill Walton. Thank you.
Hey, nice to see you again.
It's very good seeing you.
Yeah.
You're in private equity. Okay,
Yes.
Walk us through. We're talking now $3.5 trillion, this progressive wish list that people are really still trying to sort through. I mean, Steve Moore did a good job in helping us sort through, but it's just so massive. Wall Street must be shivering.
Well, some of the Wall Street, unfortunately, is on the left, and they support a lot of this bad stuff. But if you care about freedom and economic growth, which we do and you do, you couldn't design a bill that was better suited to kill economic growth and kill opportunities for everybody in America. I mean, in the first place, it repeals all the Trump tax cuts. It also increases the taxes back on corporations to give us the highest tax rate in the world.
Which means then we won't be competitive anymore.
Nobody wants to come to invest in the United States to pay the high tax rates. It weaponizes labor laws where employers are now would pay a fine of $50,000, $100,000 per infraction. It adds in 8 weeks of paid parental leave, and that's going to be great for small businesses. They can't afford paying that. It taxes unrealized capital gains. So if you own a house or an investment portfolio, if it's gone up in value, you may not have sold it, but you're supposed to pay a tax on the amount that it's gone up.
I was just reading a little quote that one of our Cure supporters sent me that said, it's not about President Biden that they're afraid of. It's about the people who voted for President Biden. Did someone miss something morally that this is what progressives were planning to do, and that it's wrong to steal from your neighbor to pay for something you think you might want? This bill is everywhere, as you just said, and I don't know, are people thinking about that impact that you said on our place on the world stage? Are they thinking about the impact on the job creators themselves, the small businessmen, which is where most of the jobs are, and the impact of all these additional costs? Are we just not paying enough attention, and it's all about what I want and what I'm going to get as a result of politicians?
I don't separate morality from economics, and this is the most immoral bill that you could possibly imagine. It crushes small business. It creates a death tax, so if you want to pass your business on to your children, you can't do it without paying a big tax, so it means a lot of these small businesses will go out of business.
Right. Which they've already going out because of COVID. We're barely surviving that. So what is this rush? Why aren't we hearing from more on Wall Street?
That's the thing. That's the thing. I did a bit of research before I came here. It's stunning how little is being written about this bill.
Yes.
This is the largest expansion of the federal government in history.
Right.
When we did it with FDR, it took 2 terms as president for him to put that in place. Under Johnson, it took a couple of years to get the Great Society and people debated it. And they had overwhelming majorities in Congress that passed it. Now we're looking at passing roughly at $5 trillion by the end of the day, bill that does a lot of other things that shouldn't be in a budget. And nobody's really vetting this thing. It's a 10,000-page bill. It's once again Nancy Pelosi saying you have to vote for it in order to find out what's in it.
Right.
I think the level of outrage ought to be off the charts. I mean, we've got the John Lewis HR bill, which we also ought to be outraged about and fighting. But this is an opportunity for everybody watching here to say, look, we've got to get involved in this. We've got to talk to our congressman. We've got to talk to our senator. And if you live in West Virginia, you've got to get to Joe Manchin, because this is going to be...
He seems to be holding, though. He seems to say that, you know what, I'm just not going to do this. I don't care how much pressure and how many threats that you are shooting my way. And so probably it's time for people to thank him for standing. But I like your point that we need to get people involved. They voted for this administration. I'm hoping that most didn't know what they were going to end up with.
Well, if you're against amnesty, this legalizes 8 million illegal immigrants. It's basically the Green New Deal packed into this
There's another
thing.
part of it.
It federalizes the electrical grid, which is going to make electricity prices skyrocket.
You know what? It's so massive. Maybe that's one of the biggest problems. People really don't understand the impact of it, because
we need to get the word out.
Well, we're getting the word out.
We're
That's
doing
why I
it now,
thank you for you to come in. But I think that your point, I don't want to lose because I'm running out of time, but your point about calling your congressman, just asking him for more information if that's what needs to be done. I'm going to need to have you back back because you are in private equity. And while I agree with you that a lot of people on Wall Street kind of think that this is la la land for them too, and their liberal, expansions, but it's going to impact them. It's going to
kill their business ultimately.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be back with our panel just to see if we can sort through some of the truth that Bill has just given us. I'll be with you after this. Thank you for being with me.
Great. Thanks. Great to be here.